Hi, welcome to Raw and Somewhat Slightly Blurred. I'm here in Nevada in Reno with my friend Liz Mink.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. And today I want to talk about what it means building a life together, and it's not about us.
Nice.
Actually, I don't want to get into that, but let's stick to the topic. I work a lot of weddings, and I always think, what does it mean? Those people get married, this building the life together. You know, when you meet somebody and after a few months you get out of the sex haze and you ask yourself, what next? Or what do you want to do? Do you want to see them more a week? And when I was in a relationship with this guy years ago, I remember when after a few months, probably like 3-4 months, he needed to move out of his place, and I offered him to stay with me. I wasn't really thinking about it. I thought maybe that's the next thing that you do. And so he moved in, and next thing, my apartment was hanging full of swords. He put the TV high up. I just said, go ahead with it. And then I looked at his family, and his family was really a normal family. His sisters had kids, and they were married. And I was thinking, is this what people do? And I had been married once, but it wasn't a regular married with children. So what's your experience with this?
Well, this was when I first met my second husband. Now, my second ex-husband. But the story was like, it was a whirlwind romance. Like, you know, we met each other, and it was the whole love at first sight thing. And I really thought that was a thing. I thought that was like, oh, here's my chance. It's happening. This is my guy. This is my one. And, you know, had a whirlwind romance for about a week. And he had just moved his stuff out of Reno and had moved it to the Bay Area. And after the week of this whirlwind romance, he said, I'm going down to Oakland to get my stuff. I said, okay. And the next thing I knew, he was back later that night with all of his stuff, and he backed the truck into the driveway. And the next morning I said to him, I said, should I clean out some room in the closet because it looks like you're moving in? And then he responded to me, oh, I guess I am. And, you know, this whole time there was no discussion, and then it's led into a 13-year relationship that ended after a lot of what Tanya is talking about, a lot of the stuff you were talking about with all of a sudden there's swords all over the wall and the TV is not where you expected it to be. And, you know, this is 13 years of this went on, and I just went with it because I thought I was supposed to. I thought I was supposed to. Ends up being a theme throughout my life now. And a lot of that is based on supposed to by who?
What?
By whose standards? Those standards end up being like society and culture of, I don't know if it's just America, but I live in America and I'm an American, so that's all I really know about. And I feel like that is, there's a definition in our society that says, yes, you're supposed to hook up with somebody, you're supposed to give yourself up to them completely. And I don't know that that's true anymore.
What it starts, I remember growing up, I grew up in Germany. I read the fairy tales. All the fairy tales, you know, Cinderella, like the romance movie, end up with a happy ending. The happy ending usually ends with the kiss, the typical Hollywood kiss. They don't show what is after that. Okay, they have kids. Maybe Cinderella moves in with the prince and might not like court life.
Well, they always end up saying, you know, the end of the story is always happily ever after. But yes, like you're saying, you don't see the behind the scenes, and you don't see the division of household labor taking place and who's doing the dishes.
Yes,
Cinderella
and we always
and the
end
prince.
up doing. But I agree with that. What I thought is, when I grew up, I thought, I'm come to America, I'm going to find a man, and the man is going to be my happiness. And when I started dating men, I always thought, all right, I want to see them every day. I want to, like, my first marriage was literally where, if this is like two people, and their lives come together, this, I don't know, you can see it here, is sort of healthy. My marriage was like this. We did everything together. I literally went to art school with my ex-husband. No, I wasn't even enrolled. And after my marriage, I was like, whoa. As I didn't even know how to do regular things anymore because we did everything together. And it took me a long time where I go, like the need and the thinking of this will bring me happiness. And this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to love sleeping in bed with somebody, which I mentioned in one of my further episodes. I discovered I don't like sleeping with anybody with my dog in bed. And that only on the bottom.
And that's, I can definitely agree with you there. I really sleep better at night with nobody in the bed with me.
Well,
Not even the dog.
so is society, well, for reproduction, obviously,
Right.
somebody has to make the children, or give birth. And some people like doing that. And when you, also, I want to mention, when you're young, I'm not young, even though I look young.
You do look young, Tanya.
But when you're young, you're not that formed and you don't know yourself that well. So I remember when I was married, I slept in a full-size bed with my ex-husband and the dog, and I didn't care. It was like tight, and I thought that's what people do, and I can't do that anymore. I also don't, for me, I don't want to live with somebody anymore. I like my own room. There's certain things, the more as I get to know myself, but it's hard to explain to regular people.
I think, though, that there are other ways to do relationships than what we have traditionally been taught or learned or been conditioned to believe. And I think that that's what you and I are both kind of looking at now, because we are older and we're past childbearing years, so it's not so much about building a life with somebody. And you know what? We've ended up having to do a lot on our own. So the point of this story here for me is that I ended up like being financially responsible for that second ex-husband that I was talking about. I ended up being financially responsible for him, and it was like one day I realized, well, I don't really need him because he really needs me more than I need him, and we're not building a life in the same direction. So I think what we're talking about today is just, are there other ways that we can approach having a relationship? Sure, I'm a woman. I would like to have a man in my life. It's nature. Whether I'm going to have a child with him or not, it's still natural to want a companion. How does that look in modern society with unconventional thinkers over 50?
Well, I think also what society, books, movies has taught us is you can only be happy in a relationship. I learned that I need to make myself first happy. I need to know my needs, what I like, what I don't like. And if I meet somebody, and like a man, in my case a man, if you meet your partner, for me, they're like the icing of the cake. I have a full life, and this partner is a great extra addition. But I have life with like an internal life without them. I'm happy without them. It doesn't mean that I don't miss them and I don't love them, but I don't need to spend every second, and I don't need to merge my financial assets with it.
Right, I know. The trouble is, I think sometimes we do, and I think we've talked a lot. We got pretty close, and we talked a lot about a lot of things. And I think we've also learned that, you know, we made a lot of mistakes in the past that we are clear that we don't want to repeat.
So what advice, or what would you want to give out to our listener?
I would just like to say, I think that there are a lot of different ways to build a life, whether it's with a person or by yourself. But I think there's a lot of different ways that we don't learn about what other ways look like. And I think you really have to know. I got the feeling in my gut here, all the way through, from all my solar plexus down to my gut. And that, to quote your mother, is the voice that is not the mind that's been conditioned by the things we hear on TV, read in books, see on the news.
What other people think of you.
Social media, all the things that we have bombarding us day in, day out. There's this pure feeling in here, and if I'm going against it, I know, because it feels tight.
Listen to your heart, knowing that you have choices, and that it's okay that your choices look different from what society or other people will tell you.
I think that's a good place to conclude.
I think so too. Well, I think we're going to leave it with this. I hope that gives you something to think of. And I wish you all a happy evening.
Yes, me too. And thanks for tuning in and visiting us in Reno, Nevada.
Cheers.